The best fall fragrances for women. So now that fall is just about here, we could start talking about fall fragrances, which are some of my favorites. And I'm gonna jump right into it, starting with a really nice one, which I don't have the bottle of, but it's Obsession by Calvin Klein. So this is actually a fragrance from the 80s, but I think it still works really, really well today. It is a primarily amber and animalistic fragrance. It is very warm. If you look at the bottle, you can get an idea of that kind of rusty brown-orange color. It's a very warm, spicy, ambery sort of fragrance. It is very strong for that reason, because it has all these really heavy notes, and it will last all day, no problem. It really complements kind of the autumn vibe, you know, if you want something warm and cozy, you know, with some amber notes, like I said, animalistic notes, things like that. It's really, really nice. It is kind of a different take on a feminine fragrance. It's definitely on the heavier side, so, you know, if you're not a big fan of heavy fragrances, probably not for you, but it is an extremely popular fragrance in general. And like I said, great longevity. It'll probably last 8 hours, maybe even more, depending on the person, but it does definitely have a very nice autumn vibe. And it can also be quite good for men. There is a men's version of Obsession, but I wouldn't recommend it because it's quite weak compared to the women's version. And additionally, the women's version is pretty unisex based on the fact that it's, like I said, quite musky, animalistic, that sort of thing. So it is a pretty good unisex option if you're interested in that sort of fragrance. Then, the next thing I have to mention, which is kind of similar, this is even older, this is Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. So this came out in the 50s, the 1950s. The reason I'm mentioning this, rather than say a more modern option for autumn, this is one of the most autumnal fall time fragrances I've come across. It's also really good for winter. So this is, like Obsession, extremely strong. Minimum 8 hours longevity, likely even more, maybe 12 hours. This is super spicy. If you've smelled a spicy fragrance, it's nothing compared to this. This has all the spices you could imagine. It has the nutmeg, it has the cloves, cinnamon, all that. Then it's mixed with really balsamic, resinous notes. It has the amber, it has balsam, like Tulum balsam. Tons of florals. There's roses, lilies, things like that. I think there's probably some iris in there, but tons of notes. Definitely for some people it's a little too much, but it does have that very, you know, spicy autumn sort of smell to it. Kind of a little bit, you know, like gingerbread cookies or something like that. Some people say it smells a little bit like Coca-Cola. I don't really see that. I don't think it's quite that sweet, but definitely with those spicy notes, the florals, the resins and things like that. It's very strong, reliable fragrance, kind of again, a different take on your typical, especially modern, feminine fragrance, where this is definitely more heavy and spicy and musky and that sort of thing. But again, another really reliable fragrance. It's kind of a classic, and probably the most affordable option on this list. I think this is $30. Obsession might have been $50 or $60, but this is definitely the most affordable option here. Then, making a leap, talking about prices, making a leap to the other side of the spectrum, this is Oud Satin Mood. So, specifically the Eau de Parfum. So, this is also one of my favorites. It's a relatively simple fragrance. The main notes here are Turkish rose and oud, which is a very rare, very exotic, and very exquisite type of wood. Great fragrance. So the natural muskiness of the oud mixed with the, you know, very unique sweetness of the rose, the perfect blend, the perfect balance between them, because they are so different and they kind of push and pull each other and evolve as you wear it. Very strong fragrance, but not in the sense of Obsession or Youth Dew. This is more of just like a persistent fragrance. It's very smooth, definitely not super musky or super this or that. Very smooth, but persistent. So again, probably 7 to 8 hours for this fragrance. Very strong, very reliable, very elegant. It's unisex as well as an added bonus. It is definitely high up on the price point, which is why I recommend it for, you know, probably more special occasions to wear it, because it is, you know, expensive. But besides that, you could tell when you smell it, this is something luxurious, this is something special. So again, nice to wear for a nice dinner or going out somewhere unique, you know, that sort of thing. Then, if you want something a little bit on the sweeter side, more modern, feminine, that sort of thing, or stereotypically feminine, I would say, this is Red Tobacco from Sarah. So this one is definitely quite a lot sweeter, less spicy, less, I wouldn't say less warm, but definitely less spicy and heavy compared to the other ones before. This is much more modern as well. This is, I mean, Red Tobacco, obviously there's tobacco in this. So it is slightly smoky, slightly musky. There is some oud, like the other one. So it has a certain heavy luxuriousness, which I would say most autumn fragrances have. You know, it's all about that warm, cozy feeling. But this definitely has more sweetness. This has some very nice cinnamon, green apple, some fruit notes, a little bit of saffron, Madagascar vanilla, you know, some more sweet notes then mixed with some much heavier notes like the tobacco, obviously, the oud, there's some amber in there. So this is a heavy fragrance, but just kind of a different genre of heaviness compared to some of these other ones. It is definitely quite nice if you prefer something on the sweeter side of the spectrum. Then, the last one that I have is also another one of my favorites, actually. This is from Dior, if it'll focus, Ambre Nuit, Amber Night. So this is a very velvety, very smooth and warm, not really spicy sort of fragrance. A little bit musky, a little bit, I think there's a little bit of pink pepper thrown in there, but definitely not as spicy as like Youth Do or things like that. So I would say this is similar to Oud Satin Mood in terms of its smoothness, because it's very smooth, very kind of a mysterious, seductive sort of fragrance. This is also a unisex option. It's also, again, higher up on the price point. This is one of Dior's kind of upper echelon sort of things. So, you know, you will have to pay more for that, but I would say it is worth it. Super long lasting, I would say minimum 10 hours, really great. And again, kind of that mysterious sort of fragrance. So if you want to be a bit mysterious, a bit, you know, want to intrigue people, I would wear Ambre Nuit. But those are my 5 main options for autumn fragrances for women. I'm probably going to make several more autumn related fragrance videos throughout the entirety of autumn, and plenty for men as well. So, you know, stick around for those. But if you enjoyed this particular video, leave a comment down below, maybe subscribe. If you liked the video, leave a like. And I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.